I lived because I was smart. I knew when to be secretive about my plans to get help. I knew based on people's moods how I had to perform. I knew if it was going to be an abusive session or a less abusive session because of the mood. When my grooming started, the only person I really saw was my father. He had me secluded into a bedroom. He was the only one that fed me, gave me water, gave me attention. My entire survival was based on him. So it made me tied to him for my survival. So I learned how to be sexy as a 5 and 6 year old. And I learned how to be passive and fawn when I needed to do that. My grandfather did not like it when you screamed and cried while he was abusing you. So if you made any noise at all, he would hit you harder with the metal side of the belt. And it was progressive. Like if you cried, made any noise, it went to your back, on your spine. If you continued, it was your ribs. He'd hit you against your ribs with the metal part of the belt. He'd just whip you with it. And if you continued, you got it to the back of the head, which was brutal. It was absolutely brutal. I used to try and take my brother's spot. But the one time I did that, I made it so much worse for him. I offered myself in his place. And instead, he beat him in front of me, and then he raped me and him. I feel like my body is not mine. I feel like it's tainted. I can't be intimate without flashbacks occurring. And there's really only been one person I think I've ever felt safe with in that regard. And he wasn't all that helpful for me either because he was a fairly abusive person, but I felt comfortable with him because that's what I knew. These last couple of months have been fairly profound for me, being able to kind of accept myself, accept my story, knowing full well that parts of it probably are not accurate, because memory is faulty. But allowing myself the grace to be able to figure it out, because my family's wanted me to be quiet forever, and I don't want to be quiet anymore. Those women that were trafficked in that house, they helped me live. They helped me survive. and they were horribly hurt if they were caught doing it. It was considered stealing. Stealing of food off of a dirty plate and giving it to us. It was considered stealing. I remember my mom asking this, she's kind of like a heavier set black lady. She was so scared. And my mom begged her to feed us because we were going to starve. She didn't want to. She was scared. But my mom convinced her. She slammed the door on my finger, and to this day it's a little bit crooked. I screamed because I think I broke it, actually. And he heard me scream, and he chopped her hand off. I heard the noise of the knife hit the countertop, and then I heard her scream. A lot of blood on the floor. And then I never saw her again. I'm angry with my mom for being the only one left and not defending these women and children who lost their lives. This is my family that did this to these people. They've been wondering for decades who did this to their children. It was my grandfather. He did it. His name is Jimmy Gordon. He's dead now. He died maybe a year ago. My father is still alive, and it scares me. We keep the secrets anymore. I'm the only one that can tell these people what happened beside my father. And my father probably will never talk about it. I haven't talked to him in 11 years. But I don't see him coming forward, but he is very, very concerned about authorities coming after him. He's talked about it for a very long time. Before I stopped talking to him, he was obsessed with that idea that the authorities were going to come and get him. And everybody thought he was crazy. And he does have some schizophrenia in there. But I think he's been terrified they were going to come and get him his entire life because of the things that he did that were associated with those murders. You know? I try to remember that my father, when he wasn't around my grandfather and he was sober, he was actually a pretty cool dad, you know? Did a lot of stuff with us. He would take us fishing and hunting, and I learned a lot of life skills from him about how to survive, when to push your way, when to be silent for your safety, all of those things. He also taught me how to stand up for somebody smaller than you, or somebody who can't defend themselves. Because he did that for me a few times that I can remember. One of them that sticks out in my head and has bothered me for a very long time they would take these Fisher Price dowels. They had like plastic shapes that would go on them back in the 80s. And they would use those dowels to penetrate us or have us penetrate them. And my grandfather did that to my brother. And he pulled it out of his rectum, and there was stool on the top of it, and he handed it to me, and he said, "No, you eat that." And I was like dry heaving and throwing up because I couldn't do it. And Jerry walked up to him and said, "She's not doing that." He put his foot down. He stood up to him for me. And then my grandfather said, "Somebody has to pay the price." So he pulled his shirt off, and my grandfather whipped him with a belt, the metal side of the belt, all over his back. And I kept saying, "No, it's fine, Dad. I can do it. I can do it. I can do it." And he kept yelling at me not to, that he was making a stand. I don't think either of my parents had a choice about what was going to happen in my life, because he would have just killed them all if they got in his way. Anything. So my mom sacrificed her kids for her freedom. Will not acknowledge it to this day. But I am safe now. I'm safe in my room right now. And those bad things are not happening right now. And I need to continue to tell myself that I'm safe. But I cannot be silent anymore. These people deserve to know where their family went. They deserve to know who did it. And the ones who don't even have a name because it was changed probably never find who their family is to tell them. I just think if something like that happened to my child, I would want to know who was responsible and what happened to them. I would want to know anything that I could find out. Talked to the detective at Ferndale again the other day through email. I told him I was disappointed that I hadn't heard anything. He told me I wouldn't. It's the Oakland County Task Force case now. And But I'm gonna have to probably communicate with them directly, I guess. Shirley's still in her LPN program right now, and I know she's busy with that, and this stuff's overwhelming, you know, so I need for her to be okay too through all of this. She and I are survivors, and we need to keep each other safe. She's the other voice next to mine, talking about these things.